everyone, welcome back to the kitchen, and today I've got a slow cooker classic for you. So today I'm going to show you how I make these slow cooker Salisbury steaks, which are super delicious and super easy. I can't wait to show you how these all come together. Today we're going to make some Salisbury steaks or hot hamburgers that we're going to cook off in the slow cooker. So we're starting with, I had some pattied meat. This is 3 1/3 pounds of beef and pork mix. So you can use whatever you like. If you want to use all beef, then that would be great, but this is a beef and pork mix. That combination gives you a really beautiful flavor and a really beautiful texture. We're also going to be seasoning the meat up with 1 cup of dry breadcrumb, 1 cup of fresh breadcrumb. So this is 1 hamburger bun and 1 hot dog bun. One was a brioche hamburger bun and one was a sweet Hawaiian hot dog bun that were alone in their packages. So I took them, I ran them over my microplane, and I just, I grated them up and I turned them into crumbs. I have about a 1/2 cup of my homemade onion soup mix. I'll leave a link down below where you can access that recipe. If you're using onion soup mix from a packet, use 2 full packets and add a teaspoon each of oregano, marjoram, and dried basil, and that will give you excellent flavor. I'm also using a tablespoon of my Hungarian steak seasoning. I'll also leave a link to where you can find the recipe for that. 3 whole eggs, 1/2 cup of milk, 1 quart or 32 ounces of beef bone broth, and like I said, about 3 pounds of ground meat, whatever is your choice. So we're also going to be using mushroom and onion gravy that we're going to simmer this in. So I have 2 pounds of mushrooms that I bought whole because I'd rather buy them whole and slice them myself, because that way I get to wash them really clean, because those are grown in a medium of peat moss, fertilizer, and vermiculite, and sometimes if you're not careful you really can see all that dirt, and when I rinse them there's like a 1/4 inch of sludge in the bottom of the bowl. So that's what I did there. So 2 pounds of mushrooms and 2 medium-sized onions that are just sliced thin. So what we're going to do next is mix everything up and we'll get busy. Alright, now we're just going to mix up our mixture for our Salisbury steak. Now this is also a really great blend for a meatloaf. I have so many people who've asked me for a meatloaf recipe. I will do that in the future, because when I make a meatloaf it's just slightly different, but I am not one of those people who puts ketchup on their meatloaf. I do not like a sweet glaze on my meatloaf. I think that's kind of yucky. That's just my own personal opinion. But when I make a meatloaf, it's very similar to this with just a couple other changes. So keep that in mind. This makes a great meatloaf. So we're going to go ahead and just start right off. I'm going to go ahead and add the breadcrumbs, fresh and dry. And that is one of the real good tips there. A mixture of both is very helpful. There goes my homemade onion soup mix, my steak seasoning, and then we're going to go ahead and add the eggs and the milk, and then we're just going to get in here with our hands and blend it all together. I like to do this by hand, but I have done it in my mixer. That's also very helpful, especially if you're in a hurry. But if you don't have a mixer, or you don't feel like cleaning your mixer that day, then don't worry about it. Just get your hands in there. It makes it really, really simple. So another tip is, you don't want your meatloaf mixture to be too dry or stiff. You want it to have a bit of moisture to it, because keep in mind, we've added dry breadcrumb, we've added an onion soup mix that has dried onions in it and dried herbs, and those are going to take up some moisture as well. And you see how this looks. It's coming together in a ball, but it's not really that sticky. It's just sticky enough. I'll go ahead and form one of the Salisbury steaks for you so you can see how that looks. I like to take a good handful, like so, and just work it in your hands. I like to make it into an oval. That's just a personal preference. So it looks like a mini meatloaf. And then we're just gonna set it on the side, because the next time you see me, after I get all these done, we're gonna bring over the frying pan and we're going to brown these off. So I'll be back when it's time to do that. Okay, I got all of our Salisbury steaks formed and ready to go, and we brought over the induction burner and a big frying pan, and now we're just gonna brown these off. You just wanna brown them on both sides. Don't crowd your pan, just do them in batches if you have to. I like to do 4 or so at a time, maybe 5 depending, because you wanna make sure you get a nice crust. So you don't have to worry if they're not cooked all the way through, because we're going to be simmering these in the crock pot for at least an hour and a half after we get them in the gravy. So I'm going to go ahead and brown all these off, and as they come out, I'm going to put them in the crock pot, which I have my vessel right here. And that way, as they're done, they'll just go where they're going to live for a little while. Then I'll come back after they're all browned up and we'll create our gravy. So I'll be back when that's all ready to go. Okay, I got all of my Salisbury steaks or mini meatloaves or hot hamburgers or whatever you want to call them. They're all browned off and they're almost pretty much cooked all the way in the crock pot, and now we're going to build the gravy. So I have, my meat did not render a lot of fat, so I added a couple of tablespoons of butter because we want to go ahead and saute the mushrooms and the onions. So in with those, we're going to put them all in at one time and just give them a good toss, and we're going to cover these with the lid just until they are wilted a bit, and then we'll come back. Go ahead and just pop a lid on here and let them kind of steam for a few minutes, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what they look like after they've had a little bit of a steam. We're back. It's been about 5 minutes or so, maybe a little bit longer, and everything has cooked down exactly the way I want it. Now, we are not in this to caramelize the onions and the mushrooms. I wanted them to cook down so that I could put them in the crock pot.
Mushroom liquid.
It's good mushroom stock right there with a little bit of butter, and we want all that flavor to go in our crock pot. So, in it goes. And not only did you get all of your onions and mushrooms and that delicious liquid in there, you also got the fond from cooking off the Salisbury steaks as well. So now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna thicken up this bone broth. This is just some beef bone broth. Okay, so now I still have that over medium heat. What I wanna do is I wanna take some Wondra flour. Now this is that gravy flour, and I'll put a link down below where you can learn more about it. The trick to using Wondra is that you don't want to add it to boiling liquid, otherwise it will clump. But this is a granulated flour that is fantastic for using in a gravy situation. You can put it in hot liquids, but you can't put it in boiling liquids. That's the trick. A lot of people think you can add this directly to a boiling stock and make gravy, but you can't. It's going to be nice thickener, but you just want to make sure that it's not boiling. So what we want to do is bring this up to a boil. I'm going to turn up my burner just a little bit. I'm going to add about a teaspoon or so of kitchen bouquet. This is just a little enhancer when you make gravy. I've been using it for years. My mom always used it. And it really does make a difference. It makes your gravy nice and rich. If you don't want to use that, you don't have to. I also wanted to mention too, if you don't like mushrooms, because I know some people don't like them, some people are allergic to them, just leave them out. Anytime I make something and you have a question on what you can substitute for that particular ingredient, when we're talking about something like this, just leave it out. If you don't like it, leave it out. Add something that you do like. So I'm just gonna bring this up to a simmer, and just an FYI, that was a quart of bone broth, beef bone broth. I added approximately a quarter of a cup of the Wondra flour, and we're just going to move in this until it thickens. So that may take a few minutes, and I'll be back when it's time. We've allowed this to come to a boil, and as you can see, it has done that. And it's very important that you allow it to boil, because you want to make sure that the flour is cooked through. Now I'm adding about a teaspoon or so of my house seasoning. This is a blend of onion powder, garlic powder, black pepper, salt, and parsley. And you should season your gravy up any way you like. Completely up to you. I'm not even gonna bulk. If you want to use those gravy packets, that's up to you. If you want to do that, for a quart of bone broth, you're gonna need 4 packets of that gravy mix. And it comes out perfectly fine because I've done it, and no judgment.
Pre-measured ingredients.
That's right. Well, I'm also gonna add a bit of Worcestershire sauce because that always adds nice deep flavor, and it smells great. And we're gonna go ahead and turn this off. I'm gonna give it a bit of a taste. Smells good. You know your gravy is ready when it coats the back of a spoon and you can run your finger across it and it doesn't fill back up. Now what you're going to want to do is take your gravy and pop it right in your crock pot. Just put a lid on it, pop it in the vessel, and put it on high for a couple of hours until it starts to simmer. Give it a stir every now and then, and when you're ready to eat dinner, you'll be ready to eat dinner. You can prepare whatever sides you like, whether it's rice, mashed potatoes, egg noodles, and your vegetable, and dinner will be ready. I'll bring you back when these are ready to serve. Okay, our Salisbury steak are all finished. They've simmered all afternoon. I would say they simmered approximately 3.5 hours. I did start them on high, but about 2 hours in, I turned it down to low, and they're perfect. Now, if you like to tighten up your gravy a little, then you can do that with a cornstarch or flour and water slurry, and just put it on high until it comes to a simmer so you can cook all of that right off. So I'm gonna go ahead and serve up a piece right here. We're going to be enjoying these for dinner tonight and probably again later in the week. This is also a great opportunity for you to freezer bank. I will often make these for my dad. You guys may have heard that my mom passed away in February. We like to make sure that he has entrees available in the freezer. Of course, he cooks for himself. He's fully capable, but I do like to make sure that he has meals available to him if he has a night where he doesn't feel like cooking, and he can just pull this out and enjoy it whenever he's ready. So we just really like to make sure he has what he needs. Do you want to give this a taste?
I have to.
Okay, let's taste it. They're super tender, and we love mushrooms in our family, so like I said earlier, if this is not your jam, leave them out. There you go, babe. What do you think? I mean, how can you go wrong with a mini meatloaf, right?
It's pretty good.
That's exactly what it is. A meatloaf. Another thing too, like I said about tightening up this gravy, a cornstarch or a flour and water slurry is going to work. But also, if you're, not that kind of person and you would just want it quick and easy, throw a few packets of that gravy mix in here if you didn't use it to make the gravy in the first place, because that's going to add good flavor and it's going to tighten it up really nice. So if you want to put these in the freezer, I recommend that you do in airtight containers or individual servings or family-sized servings. Go ahead, wait for them to cool completely, put them in the freezer, and they're good for up to 6 months as long as they're wrapped or stored properly. Knowing that you have these available in your freezer is a really great way to take some of that stress off of yourself and get a good meal on the table for your family. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you learned something, and I know that there are those of you out there who have been doing this for a long time. I don't know why I never thought of it before, but I absolutely love it, and I probably won't cook Salisbury steak another way ever again. So if you liked today's video, please be sure and hit the thumbs up button. If you're new to my kitchen and you wandered over today to see what was going on, welcome. Always a pleasure to have new friends join me. I hope that you will hit the subscribe button. And if you are a tried and true member of the Noreen's Kitchen family, always remember to hit that bell notification button so that you will get a push notification on your smart device or a message in your inbox every time we upload a new video, because we don't want you to miss out on all the real food for real people, real easy recipes that we present all the time right here on our YouTube channel and straight from our kitchen. I hope you give these slow cooker Salisbury steaks a try sometime soon, and I hope you love them. And until next time, I'll see ya.